Hello and welcome to the April 5th, 2026 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're paying for this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube channel. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like Industry Tap, Live Science, Positive.News, and GoodGoodGood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hello, Sean. Yes, we were a little late. Sorry, Sean. Nordic Wolf, really sorry to hear that your week was not great, but hopefully tonight we can be a little bit uplifting with the good news that we have. Hello, Becky. Happy Easter to everybody that celebrates, and if you don't celebrate, happy Sunday. So, happy day to everybody. Hey, Nico. Happy to see everybody here. All right, News Brew. It is the month of my birthday. And lucky for me, Point Brewing Company released a 4-pack of very special stouts that seem to be tailored specifically to my tastes. I am a bit of a peanut butter fiend, so we're going to start with Nocturnal Nosh Peanut Butter. I love the art on this can, like just this owl coming in. So this brew is a 13.5% ABV, high octane, Imperial barrel-aged pastry stout. I love pastry stouts. They are very thick and desserty and just always carry really bold, big flavors. So I am really looking forward to this. Cheers and happy birthday to me. So we don't need the Balisong bottle opener because it's a can, so we'll just crack this and blow the gain on the audio. Oh, that was a good one. Heaven, I'm in heaven. Because it is a stout, an Imperial stout at that, we are going to use the overused limited edition harpoon snifter. Nordic says, I had them at Pastry. Let's get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. It's not as dark. It's not the motor oil that we sometimes get with the stouts on this program. Hey, Rogue. Sean said, you should check out Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Dangerous stuff. Sean, I have drunk quite a bit of Screwball in my time. And yes, it is brutally dangerous. There are several really good peanut butter whiskeys. Oh my. Oh, you delicious bastard. Oh, Point Brewing. You've made liquid gold. Yes. Nico said, oh, hey, it was my beau's birthday yesterday. Didn't know you shared a birthday month. Neat. Happy birthday. Thank you very much, Nico, and happy birthday to your beau. Nordic says, there's a peanut butter whiskey by the same group that does salted watermelon, but the name escapes me. I want to try it, even though alcohol isn't a good idea for my health. I mean, imbibe with care. Shoutouts. Grand Rapids' first and only cat lounge is right in the heart of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Happy Cat Café is a cozy little spot for cat lovers, coffee drinkers, and anyone who just needs a break from the chaos. Their new spring menu is available, and pairs perfectly with a lapful of purring fluff. Partnered with Fig and Friends Animal Rescue, they give adoptable cats a comfy space to hang out, meet new people, and find their forever homes. Every visit helps support local rescue, and you might fall in love and leave with a new best friend. The links to all their socials are included below. Happy Cat Café and Fig and Friends, keep doing what you do. Cheers. Folks, that tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. Oh my gosh, the chocolate and the peanut butter. And the peanut butter. And the peanut butter. Yes, the peanut butter. Hey, Christian. Oh. Oh, the peanut butter. All right. News quote. I like to think of ideas as potential energy. They're really wonderful, but nothing will happen until we risk putting them into action. And that quote comes from Dr. May Carroll Jemison, who was born in 1956, who is an American engineer, physician, and a former NASA astronaut, who became the first African-American woman to travel into space. And I really love that quote. It's really, really appropriate for what's going on right now. Artemis 2, as of the recording of this episode, is on its way to the moon, and it's almost there. It's going to do a flyby of the moon. It's going to swing around the moon, and then it's going to come right on back. But it is currently and continues to give us so much amazing new scientific data about traveling to the moon and back. Something we haven't done in 5 decades, I believe. So it really is amazing to me that we are on our way back to the moon. There's a lot going on. A good friend of mine said something really important, in that there is a lot of really crazy stuff going on right here on terra firma, on planet Earth. But that doesn't mean that we can't look to the stars and keep on going. So a lot of really great ideas exist, but you've got to take risks to make them happen and make them reality. And so I like to think of ideas as potential energy. They're really wonderful, but nothing will happen until we risk putting them into action. To Dr. May Carroll Jemison and to all of the astronauts on board the Artemis 2, or I think it's Orion, the Orion spacecraft, on their way to the moon and back. Cheers. Sean, hold this beer. Sean says, careful with that reaction, you might get censored. Bug update. The chirping cricket that was in Ripley, our tailless whip scorpion's vivarium, has been silenced. Ripley has done her job and has ended the incessant cries for attention from that cricket. Superb work, you creepy, scuttling nightmare bug. Little John has been out and about. Check out our Instagram on Tuesday for some pictures of him as he is crawling around. And the Cuddle Puddle has been rehearsing very loudly together. In fact, earlier they were all making all sorts of noise while we were doing some recording for TikToks. Hey, Yavean. Sue is a shut-in. I saw him, but when I say I saw him, all I see is his claws just kind of sticking up out of his burrow, just waiting for food to come by. So he's, an incredible introvert. Otherwise, all is very well in the bug world. I'm really looking forward to Elmira waking up. I can't wait to see her crawling around and to get more images of her, because she is really something to see. So, yeah, all's good in here. Nightmare, but Becky, look at our Instagram and look at the pictures we posted over time of Ripley. Like, Ripley is horrifying. Ripley would give parents nightmares. Like, I think I have nightmares. Hey, Ed, I think I have nightmares of Ripley now and then. Wake up in a cold sweat thinking that thing is on my face. Nordic says, nightmare bug is an accurate term, but then I'm off the camp. You stay in your corner and you stay alive in regards to insects. Oh. Sean's little chaos gremlin known as Buster. The floor... I think Sean keeps having, typos. I'm thinking he said the fluffy chaos known as Buster is officially 4 months old on Friday and is already 22.5 pounds. The floofy chaos known as Buster. There you go, Sean. You finally got it. Sean's got a fluffy chaos gremlin named Buster. 4 months old, up to 22.5 pounds. Very cool. Nordic's chaos gremlin Teo is going to be 11 next month, and autocorrect. All right. Let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice touchy-feely articles that we like to end on. So we're going to start off in category 1, science and technology. We call this first one, when you don't know what you can't do, you can do anything. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. And a reminder, all of the articles that we cover on every episode are in the description of the video. So you can check them out at your leisure. I highly recommend you do. I highly recommend you give all of the sites that we get these articles from some love, because they really are striving to bring good news to the forefront. So, hey, Waffle. All right. Bay Area high school students develop AI wildfire suppression system for global competition. This was published to CBS News on March 7th of 2026 by Mary Lee. As we gear up for the start of wildfire season, a South Bay high school team has developed an AI-powered system that can detect and suppress wildfires within minutes. The Valley Christian High School team, called Wildfire Quest in San Jose, is a finalist in the $11 million Global X Prize Foundation Wildfire Competition, competing against the top AI and defense innovators. I'm wiring together here the stepper motor here to our stepper motor driver, said Joshua Guo, Valley Christian Wildfire Quest student. Guo knows all too well how devastating wildfires can be. He and his family were forced to evacuate when a fast-moving wildfire broke out dangerously close to his home. We were collecting suitcases, memories, all the photo albums, everything we could salvage, and it was in that moment, I was just thinking, is there really nothing I can do about this? Said Guo. Guo is part of a Valley Christian High School's Wildfire Quest team, which just became a finalist in the $11 million X Prize Foundation Wildfire Competition. He is using his electrical, engineering, and software skills to come up with a solution that's never been done before: autonomously detecting and suppressing a potentially catastrophic wildfire within 10 minutes. We have school, and then we go to work on our system for X Prize Wildfire, and every day I come to school in just a few hours, I'm going to be able to engineer something to help out the world, said Guo. Their unique solution is mounting fire-retardant balls on top of drones and then dropping them directly over a wildfire. They're using their own AI technology, as well as partnering with the drone company Kaizen Aerospace and the AI-based fire detection company Sensory AI. Olivia Ahn is also on the Wildfire Quest team. She explained how their wildfire solution works. Essentially, there's fuse around the ball, and inside there's a chemical fire suppressant powder that when the fuse is set off, when it lands on a fire, it basically explodes and chokes out the fire, said On. The drone would fly out to a fire, detect the fire, and then drop these over the fire, and the fuse would set off, and then bam, our fire would be suppressed. Paul Doherty is the PG&E, a co-sponsor of the X-Prize Wildfire competition. We couldn't be more excited to see a team like them competing against some of the large defense contractors and other big corporations and organizations that are also working in this space to end catastrophic wildfires, said Doherty. Danny Kim is the leading Wildfire Quest team. He's proud and inspired to work with these bright young minds. I will say the secret weapon we have with using high school kids is yes, they're inexperienced, but this inexperience translates both to energy, enthusiasm, and creativity, said Kim. The kids are kind of set loose to think of any idea and try and solve this thing that no one else has solved, and they come up with ideas that we never even thought about. I feel like we've experienced it. Back in 2020, there was like a huge wildfire that turned our skies orange. And it was very scary. And it was honestly I felt like there's nothing that I could do personally. But now, as high school students and teachers, we have the opportunity to actually create this physical change, said Arissa Cow, a Valley Christian Wildfire Quest student. For these Wildfire Quest students, it's not just a competition, it's a calling. Especially since we are still teenagers exploring what means most to us. I think this is where I really found it, said Guo. PG&E is the co-title sponsor and is supporting the next phase of the competition. In the summer, the final round of testing will take place in Alaska, where finalists must autonomously detect and fully suppress a wildfire across an area as large as the entire Bay Area within 10 minutes. The winner of the X-Prize Foundation Wildfire Competition will be announced in September of this year, and you can expect Nick's News to keep an eye out for that good news. To everybody involved with the Wildfire Quest, and especially the students of Valley Christian High School, who are going to try to drop, effectively, fire suppressant bombs on fires to put them out before they can become raging, horrible wildfires. Cheers. Oh, this beer. I apologize. I know there was a lot of chat going on, but I was locked in on that article. Ed says, engineer. Nordic hissed at the mention of AI and went to go get a flamethrower. Nordic, the whole article was about stopping fire, not starting it. Sean, didn't someone develop a fire-triggered explosive fire extinguisher ball a while back? Yeah. And producer Donna said, yep, and the exploding pine cone one too. It's been done a couple of times, but I think the big part of this is that they're combining that system with a drone and a detection system for the drone so that it can go find the fires. So I think that's the part that's been missed. We have this fire suppression ball that we can set off, but we've got to get it there first. So a drone with a fire detection system is awesome. Hey, Nick. Nick says, Happy Easter, everyone. Nice to see a good news channel for once. Nick, I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Happy Easter to you, too. Nordic says, no, we're only burning the AI. Okay, I might be able to get behind that. Alright. On to our next article here in Science and Technology. We called it Bang Zoom, Back to the Moon. And I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out at your leisure. Because with everything going on, there's no way we couldn't cover Artemis 2's mission. Artemis 2 blasts off. Humans are on their way back to the moon. This was published on Live Science on April 1st of 2026 by Patrick Pester. The Artemis II crew has blasted off for the moon on a historic rocket launch at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and mission specialist Jeremy Hansen are now riding high in the Orion spacecraft as the first humans to head back to the moon in more than 50 years. The rocket lifted off at 6:35 p.m. EDT on April 1st, one of the final launch windows available to meet NASA's April 30th mission deadline. Artemis II has been fraught with delays in recent months, but on April Fool's Day, of all days, NASA's gigantic Space Launch System, which really is a marvel of engineering on its own, like really, that rocket stack is wild. So NASA's gigantic Space Launch System rocket and the Orion capsule took off without any significant issues. Hundreds of thousands of people flocked to Florida's Space Coast to watch the launch in person, while millions more tuned in around the world to watch NASA's live broadcast. The Artemis II crew is now embarking on a 10-day spaceflight, which will take them around the far side of the moon, traveling farther and faster than any humans in history, before they return home to Earth. The record-breaking mission is set to establish a number of historic firsts. NASA's Koch is on her way to becoming the first woman in history to go beyond low Earth orbit, and the first woman to visit the lunar environment, while NASA's Glover is on his way to becoming the first black astronaut to venture beyond low Earth orbit and visit the lunar environment. Hansen, of the Canadian Space Agency, is on his way to becoming the first non-American to visit the moon. Finally, Wiseman is on his way to becoming the oldest astronaut to visit the moon, having turned 50 in November. In recent months, the Artemis II mission staff has grappled with hydrogen leaks, which were a problem during the first Artemis II fueling rehearsal on February 3rd, and helium flow issues, which forced NASA to take its rocket back to the shop for urgent repairs a few weeks later. However, there were no such issues during the tanking of the rocket after that. The launch team didn't encounter any significant technical issues while filling the SLS with more than 700,000 gallons of super cold liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and the countdown proceeded smoothly and on schedule. The crew walked out at about 2 p.m., suiting up at the Launch Complex 39B, before entering the Orion spacecraft at 2:31 p.m. Artemis II's launch team did have to work through an unusual range issue. NASA clears an airspace launch corridor along the rocket's flight path, but part of this system, specifically the Flight Termination System, or the FTS, that sends a destruct signal to the rocket if it goes off course, had some kind of problem. And that sounds like a really important system. Engineers ended up fetching a piece of heritage equipment that was used during the Space Shuttle program, and ultimately worked through the issue to clear the range and work the FTS system. Clouds and rain showers hovered over the Kennedy Space Center at times, but they didn't disrupt the launch, and wind speeds remained within acceptable levels. The launch is only the beginning of NASA's historic flight around the moon, which is all about testing systems and building capacity ahead of the planned lunar surface missions in 2028 at the earliest. Sending astronauts into space also gives NASA a rare opportunity to study how deep space flight affects the human body. NASA will provide live real-time coverage of the mission on its YouTube channel, as well as live conversations with the astronauts and daily mission briefings. Live Science will share key information from NASA's coverage on their dedicated Artemis II live blog. There are links to the YouTube channel and to the live blog in the article, and I advise you check those out. Also, NASA has set up a amazing website to be able to basically see everything. It's a live stream of the Orion headed to the moon, and it really is something to see. So I implore you to check that out. Here we are, 50 years later, heading back to the moon, and I think that that is really good news. So, to everybody involved, NASA, all of the astronauts on the Orion, everybody involved with Artemis II. Cheers. little bit of arguments in the chat. Producer Donna said that I should have, or was telling me when we were doing the names for the articles, you know, our little funny names for them, that we should have said the fire one at the beginning was I cast fireball, but the whole point was to put the fires out, not to burn your whole party in the room. So, Ed says the fact that they named it Artemis is amazing when you know stuff about Greek lore. That is correct. All right, so that is going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. We've got 2 articles in here, and we called this first one, Safe Fidget Fashion 5 Times Fast. Fidget fashion, fidget fashion, fidget fashion, fidget fashion, fidget fashion. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. Everybody is still talking about casting fireball. I cast fireball! Drinks a little bottle of fireball. Woman invents stim hoodie with built-in fidget toys for people with autism and ADHD. This was published to goodgoodgood.co on February 26 of 2026 by Cameron Baker. For people with sensory issues, often those who are neurodivergent and have autism, or attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, wearing the wrong clothes can be a recipe for disaster. Whether it's itchy tags, uncomfortable fibers, or just the wrong fit, these hurdles can lead people to feel overstimulated and have trouble navigating daily life. Olivia Drury experienced these challenges. The 27-year-old based in the United Kingdom was diagnosed with autism and ADHD in her early 20s. I spent most of my life feeling chronically overwhelmed, masking constantly, wondering why everyday things felt so effing difficult, Drury said in a recent TikTok video. Then I got diagnosed with ADHD and autism, and I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But that diagnosis also came with a whole new way to view the world and the accommodations that it's lacking. Why were there no lifestyle brands for people with brains like mine? Drury posed. Not just merch or slogans, but clothing that actually works with our nervous systems and not against them. That's when she had the idea to create a clothing label that made it easier for people with ADHD, anxiety, and autism to stim. STIM is short for self-stimulatory behavior and refers to the ways neurodivergent people manage sensory input. For a lot of us with ADHD and autism, stimming is how we regulate. It helps us focus, calm our nervous system. It helps us stay present, Drury explained in her video. But the reality is that stimming openly isn't always safe. People stare, judge, and comment, so we mask it. That masking, or suppressing natural autistic traits to fit into social situations or avoid stigma, is partially what kept Drury in the dark for so long, and made her own experience more difficult. Her solution is the Stim hoodie, a product she just released from her brand, Club Neuro. It all came after Drury built a platform on social media, at Neurodiversing on both Instagram and TikTok, and I implore you to check them out, where she shared her autistic ADHD diaries with thousands of followers. After sharing about her need to be comfortable in her clothes, she connected with Club Neuro co-founders Lucas Hamby and Sam Wright. From there, they spent 10 months perfecting their design. The hoodie looks like any other, but it has a number of discrete features, including removable stress balls built into the cuffs, attached stim toys hidden in the front pockets, a weighted fabric, no tags, a large hood designed to encase noise-canceling headphones, and thumb holes. Some of us fidget, some of us pick, some of us can't sit still in meetings or on flights or anywhere, really, Club Neuro's website reads. We believe your clothes should work with your brain, not against it. That's why we created the world's first functional fashion brand for people who need a little help staying grounded. Nordic says, I'd destroy the stress balls in a moment. Becky says, I need to get one for my son. The design process enlisted the help of about 4,000 survey respondents from Drury's community of neurodivergent followers, expressing what they wanted from a clothing product like this. This hoodie was shaped by thousands of neurodivergent voices, Drury said in her video. People telling us again and again that clothing can be overwhelming, distracting, uncomfortable, and that it doesn't have to be. The hoodie is on sale now, available in 5 colors, size extra small to extra extra large, and with a price tag of $103 US. And it's backed by experts from the Global ADHD Clinicians Network. Club Neuro reflects what I see every day in my work with ADHD and autistic people. There's a real gap between awareness and the kind of practical support that actually helps people get through daily life, Dr. Pav Kuhner, founder of the Global ADHD Clinicians Network, said. As someone with ADHD myself, that gap matters to me. Club Neuro is focused on the everyday realities people are living with, not just the conversation around them, and that's why this feels important. And for Drury, it's a dream come true. She quit her full-time office job to follow her dream and make the STEM hoodie a reality. Now, she's hoping to see it pay off. Because I've struggled so much in school settings, in university, in the workplace, in friendships, and social settings, I want to make sure that I'm raising awareness of ADHD and autism so people can see it themselves or recognize it in others, and so we can get the support we need, she told the Yorkshire Evening Post. I feel like I'm doing the right thing in my life. That is really awesome and something else. To Olivia Drury and the team at Club Neuro, who has devised a hoodie that is designed entirely to make one comfortable, especially if you've got some neurodivergent tendencies, and to help people with different stimming behavior. Cheers. Ed says, that's huggable levels of a wholesome. I'll tell you, I have a tick. It's so funny. Earlier, I was doing some things while we were recording the TikToks, and producer Donna, like, straight up asked me, have you been tested for ADHD? And I'm like, I probably should be. I was singing a little bit, but something I know that I do. And if you kind of look, you can sometimes notice that, like, this side of my beard is actually a little thinner than this side. And that's because I constantly do this. And I've actually worn this side quite a bit. Because, like, when I'm just trying to get my mind set, I just kind of pick and I rub at this side of my beard. And so it is a little thinner because I've plucked it a little compared to this side. So it's just a little behavior that I have. Producer Donna says you can't focus more than 10 minutes without checking on your bugs. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. We're 36 minutes into this recording, and I've only looked back at them like twice. That's more than 10 minutes. Sean says, yep, that's stimming for sure. Yeah, it probably is, but Nicholas Thinbeard doesn't have the same charm to it, says Ed. Making me sound like a pirate. Alright, we called this next one Built Where It's Needed Most. And I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. Nonprofit invents modular playgrounds for kids in war zones. The children helped construct them. This was published at goodgoodgood.co on April 1st of 2026 by Cameron Baker. When London-based photographer Alexander Menninger had children, he found himself spending more and more time observing playgrounds. A tinkerer by nature, he built his sons an indoor treehouse, but didn't realize the importance of play until the war in Ukraine, when he saw footage of children being displaced from their homes, schools, and all stability from the place they called home. Now, he has just launched his nonprofit, Playrise, an organization that makes modular, packable play equipment and furniture for children living in disaster zones and refugee camps. Menninger worked with architecture studio OMMX to design the play structures, which are built from simple wood components that can be assembled easily and customized with colorful accessories like monkey bars, hammocks, basketball hoops, and climbing ropes. It's fully customizable, with the structures easy to reconfigure based on each location's needs and limits. Parts can be easily replaced, and all the bolts that keep structures together are fitted with playground-specific hardware. Menninger and team also spoke with Sudanese, Palestinian, and Eritrean child refugees to learn what children living in displacement actually wanted. Their feedback confirmed what the inventors already knew to be true. Play is vital for child development. In communities such as refugee camps, many children are displaced from home, living with trauma, cut off from education and essential health care, and suffering from high degrees of physical and psychological stress as a result, Playrise wrote on its website. In such circumstances, play is a lifeline, helping children relieve stress, foster nurturing relationships, and reestablish conditions in which learning can occur. Initially, Menninger wanted to build the structures out of rubble found in war and disaster zones, but then he realized these communities needed something affordable, quick, and easy to assemble, he told The Guardian. Just like when you're renting, you don't want bespoke furniture, you need something from IKEA. In refugee camps, there's no appetite for anything permanent, Menninger added. The problem is that a lot of people end up in this temporary accommodation for a depressingly long time. So he set out to develop something that could be scalable and easily replicated, but still personal and joyful for each refugee community. Menninger and OMMX engineers, along with other developers, traveled to Asaita, Ethiopia, a community that will be the first refugee camp to receive a Playrise prototype. Here, 10,000 children under the age of 10 are housed, and there is not a single playground. The designers spoke with these children, along with others in 2 locations in Egypt, which are hubs for displaced Palestinian and Sudanese refugees. They created co-design workshops with the children and interviewed their parents. In the Asaita refugee camp, which has been operational since 2007, families reported that their kids even helped construct the sample play structures that were sent to try out. We're equipping them with the practical skills they will one day need in order to build and maintain their own homes, Hikaru Nisanki, director of OMMX, told The Guardian. This struck us as poignant, given the precarity with which they are living. The playgrounds are meant to be that easy to assemble, while still prioritizing safety. For instance, the designers chose to use timber instead of metal, so that materials wouldn't be too hot in the desert climates. They also designed the structures to keep fingers from getting stuck, and options that lay soundly on various terrains, from desert sand to concrete. The simple modular kit comprises elements which allow for play for different ages, abilities, personalities, and settings. Some configurations focus on dynamic movement in popular games, others on more intangible forms of sensory play, the Playrise website describes. With our system, children can create a playground, a theater, a tunnel, or simply a safe space to call their own. All of the framework and add-ons can be assembled with standard tools, and the hope is to offer international aid organizations a menu of various playground parts and structures that they can deploy to their areas of focus. We didn't want to go into this with the Western perspective of what kids should do or be patronizing, Nisanki said. But from the countries I've visited, I've seen that, on a basic level, humans are humans, and they wish for the same things. One of those things is that they want to see their kids thrive and play. While the Ethiopian refugee community will be the first to fully integrate Playrise into its space, Playrise representatives told Dazine that refugee camps in Cairo and Wadi Karkar will be next. Play is not a luxury or a nice to have. It is often in the playground that we forge the connections and peer relationships on which society is founded. The bonds that keep communities together are established on the swing and the slide, Playrise concludes on its website. Where we are born is arbitrary, but our right to play safely should be fundamental. A lot of engineers in the chat. Nico says, this is such a great thing. Play is so important. To Alexander Menninger and to everybody at Playrise for putting together, a nonprofit putting together modular play places that can be built on site at refugee camps, and especially where play is needed most for children. Cheers. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very, very misty-eyed after reading that one. That almost could have been a wholesome note. I think that could have been a wholesome note, because that one got me. Wow. Whew. All right. That's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3. Flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. And we've got 2 heckin' good boy articles in this one. Our first one is heckin' good boy says fuck cancer. I absolutely hate and abhor cancer. That is, I don't think anybody likes cancer. I have a huge penchant for hating cancer. So anytime we get an article that dunks on it, I'm a dunk on it hard. So I'll copy and paste this article into the chat if y'all want to check it out. Canine Carer. How guide dog school dropout Marcus came to comfort cancer patients for a living. This was published to The Guardian on the 1st of March, 2026 by Kate Lever. Once assessed as a sloth with a low drive to work, the polite and affectionate black Labrador enjoys a successful new career as a therapy dog. Marcus is a very good boy. He's a 6-year-old, 32-kilogram Labrador with lustrous black hair, soulful brown eyes, and a bodacious bottom. He's sensitive and food-motivated. If given the choice between a distressed person and a tasty treat, he might have a hard time picking. Oh, and don't mention guide dog school. It's a touchy subject. When Marcus was a puppy, he began training with Guide Dogs NSW in Australia, with the expectation that he would graduate from their world-class program and match with a person who has low vision or blindness. A noble profession for a dog, but not guaranteed to all who enroll. Marcus was purpose-bred at the Guide Dog Center in Glissadia, a small town at the foot of the Blue Mountains, 68 kilometers northwest of Sydney. In April of 2020, at the start of our latest global pandemic when Marcus was 8 weeks old, he went to live with puppy raisers Alex and Allison. At this stage, Alex says he was tiny and funny, with, do not repeat this to Marcus, a stubby little face and very short legs. And there's a picture of Marcus as a puppy. He was a cautious fellow, unsure of his new surroundings. He needed to be fished out of his cage by large human hands and set upright. He proved himself to be proficient at the basics. In less than 2 weeks, he could sit, drop, stay, and come when called. He was well behaved, with the exception of one hole-dinging incident. There was little mischief. No kitchen intruding, no counter surfing, no pantry raiding. One of his favorite extracurricular activities was sticking his face into a nearby empty yogurt tub to lick it clean, though he was not always able to extract his head afterwards. For 6 months, Marcus did training once a week via Zoom and practiced his skills every day. He was given his own bed, but preferred to sleep near or on top of his foster brother Baxter, a patient chocolate lab who has welcomed and tolerated many guide dog hopefuls in his time. And there is a picture of Marcus sleeping on Baxter. I'm dying from cuteness. Marcus was a quick learner, but a slow mover. He was a dawdler. In his official file, it was noted that Marcus showed an unwillingness to work, which, while relatable and endearing, is not ideal for a guide dog. Rather than, say, guide someone firmly and safely without distraction, Marcus preferred sitting in puddles, playing fetch, having naps, seeking out snuggles, and trying out his sweetest facial expressions in hope of securing some chicken as a snack. After 14 months, Marcus was assessed. We do not use the word fail. Marcus was reclassified. The paperwork for his process used to include the word rejected, says Guide Dog NSW's alternate pathways manager, Sam O'Keefe, but it now says career path change, because that's much nicer. Being a guide dog was not his destiny, on account of being a bit slow and a sloth with a slow drive to work. So Marcus became a therapy dog, for which he is perfectly suited on account of being affectionate, friendly, and polite. In 2025, 39 dogs made it through guide dog training, and 93 were placed as therapy dogs across New South Wales and the Australian Capital Territory. There are now more than 650 therapy dogs at work in the community, all of them aged 12 years and younger. They have been placed in courtrooms, schools, aged care facilities, rehab clinics, psychologist offices, and with emergency or frontline services. Some have been placed with individuals or families affected by PTSD, autism, or mental illness. To qualify, these dogs must demonstrate the right temperament and that they can settle and relax in various environments, respond well to handler cues, and enjoy physical touch. They're put next to wheelchairs, canes, and medical equipment to test their reactions, and they're often asked to unlearn their training not to jump up on furniture. In their new line of work, they're usually required on laps, beds, sofas, and chairs, anywhere a person might be found who needs the soothing presence of a dog, like Marcus. In 2022, Marcus was matched with the oncologist Dr. Lena Pugliano, who founded the cancer care and rehabilitation center, CancerFit. Marcus now lives with Pugliano, her husband, and their 2 children, aged 10 and 7. It had taken 2 years for the application for Marcus to go through. The alternate pathways team at Guide Dogs NSW are meticulous in their matchmaking, so she kept it a secret from her kids to manage their expectations. Needless to say, the family was thrilled. At night, Marcus has snuggles on the bed before he retreats to his own, but Pugliano can hear the tap-tap of his paws on the floor as he makes his rounds to check on the children, stopping at their bedroom doors to make sure they're safe. Every weekday morning, Marcus goes into work at CancerFit with Pugliano. They stop off at a cafe on the way, where the barista sneaks Marcus a treat. Then, it's straight into clinic to greet his patients, patrol the exercise machines, check if anyone needs assurance, and loop past the kitchen in case there's any chicken to be had. He's never been explicitly told what to do. He follows his instincts. If someone is upset, Marcus is by their side in moments, head resting on their leg or bottom offered up for scratches. He often sits underneath the desk during oncology consultations, and otherwise offers comfort simply by existing calmly, stolidly, and sweetly nearby. His only complaint about the job might be the recently enforced nutritional guidance, as outlined on posters across the clinic. When Marcus started there, clients would sneak him snacks, and the old boy put on weight. On veterinary advice, he is now only allowed to receive treats from an approved short list: carrot chunks, cucumber sticks, apple slices, or strawberry tops. Not even the good parts of the strawberry, a client tells me, before confessing that she may on occasion defy these rules. Marcus has his favorites, the ones who feed him, but he is generous and indiscriminate with his affection. For those in need of comfort, Marcus will be there to provide it, whether or not you have cheese in your pocket. Oh my. To Marcus, a dog who sadly couldn't cut it, helping to guide people, but brings joy in so many different ways at an oncology office. You're a heckin' good boy, Marcus. Cheers. Sean called Marcus a flunky floof and then said, "We're actually thinking of training Buster as a therapy dog once he matures a bit. That'd be pretty cool." And like I stated before, both of our flora and fauna are dog articles, so this one is a heckin' good boy too, Pupper Boogaloo. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. Dang it, I did it again. I just checked the bugs. Dogs can detect Parkinson's years before symptoms show, with 98% accuracy. This was published to goodgoodgood.co on April 1st of 2026 by Megan Cook. Recently, the universities of Bristol and Manchester enlisted the help of a golden retriever, Bumper, and a black Labrador, Peanut, for an important task: detecting Parkinson's disease by smell. The canines, which were trained by the nonprofit Medical Detection Dogs, participated in a double-blind trial where they sniffed cheek swabs from people with and without Parkinson's disease. In the lab, Bumper and Peanut correctly identified Parkinson's in 70% and 80% of patients, and were over 90% accurate in ruling out healthy individuals. Sensitivity levels of 70% and 80% are well above chance. And I believe that dogs could help us to develop a quick, non-invasive, and cost-effective method to identify patients with Parkinson's disease, said Nicola Rooney, an associate professor at Bristol Veterinary School who led the study. This isn't the first time researchers have tested dogs' ability to sniff out diseases. They've also been found to accurately detect a group of bacteria that can trigger urinary tract infections, pneumonia, blood poisoning, and even some cancers, and we've talked about that on articles in previous episodes of Nick's News. We are extremely proud to say that, once again, dogs can very accurately detect disease, Medical Detection Dogs CEO Claire Guest said in July, when the results of the latest trial were published in the Journal of Parkinson's Disease. There is currently no early test for Parkinson's disease, and symptoms may start up to 20 years before they become visible and persistent, leading to a confirmed diagnosis, she added. Timely diagnosis is key, as subsequent treatments could slow down the progression of the disease and reduce the intensity of its symptoms. To Bumper and Peanut for participating in a study where it was found that dogs can accurately detect Parkinson's disease in people even before symptoms have begun to show. Cheers. I saw something in the chat. That's why I'm looking over here. Someone said, Sean said, Becky, encouraging Nick is dangerous. I don't know what is being encouraged of me. Nordic says, my boy Teo is a psychiatric pupper of service, though he's retired now. Though Teo will also tell me when my heart is giving me heck and plop all 16 pounds of himself in my lap and paw punch me if I try to move despite him being in my lap. Good boy, Teo. Indeed. That is really cool. All right, that's going to get us out of flora and fauna. We are going to move on to category 4, the wholesome notes. We've got 2 articles here tonight to end things. This first one, we took a line from the article because I want to emphasize it. What happens if you trust people to be generous? I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. And again, all of our articles are in the description of our videos, so you can check them out at your leisure anytime. And I sincerely hope that you do, and give some love, again, to the sites that we find these articles on, because this really is amazing good news from a lot of different places. Like this one, The Generosity Experiment. And this was published to Positive.News on April 2nd of 2026 by Tom Pattinson. Oh, Becky said I'm a good bug daddy. Thank you very much, Becky. I appreciate that. Most of us, we would like to think, would help out a relative, a friend, and perhaps even a stranger in need. Maybe giving directions or lending a few quid. But how many of us would donate one of our organs to someone we will never meet? That is exactly what Tom Cledwin did in 2012. Since then, his life has been shaped by acts of generosity towards strangers, culminating in Drop Dead Generous, a social experiment giving 1,000 people $500, or £378, each to spend on helping others in creative ways. Backed by an anonymous philanthropist, the project is part grand scheme, part provocation. What happens if you trust people to be generous? Cledwin donated his kidney at 25 after reading about Kay Mason, the first person in the UK to give a kidney to a stranger. I read the article and didn't think about it. It just felt like a very profound opportunity, he says. After a year of medical and psychological assessments, he went through with it. The feeling I had when I woke up from that operation is something I want other people to experience. Cledwin is not the zealot you might expect. Thoughtful and measured, he says the act was a privilege. It was an honor to be able to do it. And the same applies to all forms of giving. It doesn't have to be a kidney. It can be a smile, some time, or being there when someone is struggling, he says. The experience of giving is the closest thing I've experienced to something that really matters. I knew I'd get minimal feedback and would never meet the recipient. That felt important too, doing something without seeing the outcome. After the operation, he set up a blog called The Free Help Guy, trawling Gumtree and offering anonymous help to people who needed it, whether that meant moving house or fixing things around the home. Demand grew quickly until the money ran out. A stint at Meta followed, where he rose to become a senior executive, but after 7 years he left, pulled back towards the idea that generosity could be scaled. Together with co-founder John Sweeney, he launched Drop Dead Generous with a $500,000 or £378,000 fund. At the time of writing, 266 grants have been awarded across 21 countries. Applicants are asked 2 simple questions. Who needs help? And what would you do with $500 to blow their socks off? We ask, what's the hook, the originality, the heart? You can't just give the money away. It has to facilitate an idea. And it can't be too similar to something we've already funded, said Cledwin. The $500 fund is a fixed amount, but what it can do varies not just on the project, but the location too. Someone in London gave out 80 flowers. and someone in Uganda built a house, he says. In Brazil, one grant is helping to start a book club in a prison, where inmates can reduce their sentences by reading and writing about literature. Elsewhere in the country, two young chess players from a favela were able to enter national competitions and secure coaching, going on to win and attract wider support. In Uganda, a communal dance floor now sits at the center of a community, offering young people a space for creativity over conflict. In the UK, one project is giving an as-yet undiscovered busker the chance to record a professional demo, while another brought a Shetland pony into a care home, coaxing residents out of their rooms. Kendall Concini and her young family were one of the recipients who wanted to thank local librarians in her hometown of Baltimore, United States. We wanted to give back the same happiness they exude when you walk in, and the best way I could think of was walking in with a fun surprise to give back, said Concini. It started as an idea from her 4-year-old to bring librarians breakfast donuts, but that was just the beginning. I wanted them to really feel the love, so we created an entire breakfast arrangement, collected love letters from friends, families, and strangers online, and created giveaway gifts for librarians to pass on to patrons, keeping the acts of kindness going. Concini's initial concept has continued, and now packages have been delivered to 12 libraries in the area, funded from profits from a children's book she has written and from public donations. Seeing librarians go grab their colleagues with excitement and hearing, "I needed a pick-me-up this morning," was an amazing feeling. The exact feeling that I had intended to give. We care about you. Your community notices you. For Cledwin, that ripple effect is the real measure of success. The philosopher Jacques Derrida argued that a pure gift cannot exist, because even the act of giving carries an expectation of return, whether that is gratitude or simply the feeling it gives the person who gives. Cledwin does not dismiss this idea. There's always a mixed set of motivations, and that's fine. The danger is ignoring intrinsic motivation, because that's what makes you do it again. He says, it becomes problematic only if you expect something back, rather than accept it if it comes. If I had donated my kidney expecting to feel something in return, that would have felt wrong. But waking up and feeling pride and meaning is something I'm happy to accept. The timing feels pointed. Hey, have a good night, Becky. The timing feels pointed. In a climate where division often dominates, generosity can feel either naive or performative. At a time when the opposite of generosity often feels normalized, even in how leaders communicate, it feels more important than ever to frame generosity as a superpower, not just a nice thing, says Cledwin. The project is now experimenting with handing decision-making to earlier recipients, allowing them to fund others in their own communities. If it works, generosity stops being a centralized act and becomes something more distributed, less controlled. For now, the invitation is simple. Hop on the website and submit an idea. He says, sorry. Think imaginatively. To Tom Cledwin and where was his co-founder? John Sweeney, and everybody involved with Drop Dead Generous. Spreading generosity. Cheers. Nico said that one was really nice, and I agree. We've got some bangers tonight. Oh my gosh. Our last article of the night is a Sometimes It Takes a Village article. This one is going to cover potentially some triggering concepts and odds and ends, so just a fair warning. But there's a lot of power in this article and a lot of really good stuff and good news for people in general, in my opinion. So really want to end on wholesome notes, and I think it's hard to beat this one as wholesome. So again, sometimes it takes a village article. I will copy and paste it into the chat if y'all want to check it out. And regardless of potential views, it is hard to look down or speak ill of the kindness of strangers. So his parents cut him off for being trans. He'll graduate on time, thanks to the kindness of strangers. This was published to LGBTQ Nation on March 18th of 2026 by Molly Spray-Reagan. I think I have Molly's name correct. If I don't, I apologize. A trans Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, student was kicked out of student housing after his parents cut him off financially due to his gender identity. But the community rallied around him, and a fundraiser to keep Matthew N. both housed and in school has reached almost $90,000 and counting as of Wednesday afternoon of the week that this was posted, which was, again, March 18th of 2026. Matthew's parents cut off their financial support after discovering he is transgender. Matthew's friend, Irene Dong, wrote on the GoFundMe page. Since then, he has worked multiple jobs, maxed out on loans, and exhausted every option to stay afloat. Our goal is to raise money to fund his senior year's tuition and housing to allow him to graduate this spring. Dong explained that Matthew is ineligible for financial aid because the school bases its offerings on parents' financial status. Despite submitting statements from therapists, psychiatrists, and an organization supporting LGBTQ+ students without parental support, the Wiley Network, his appeals for independent financial status have been repeatedly denied, Dong said. Dong went on to share that Matthew received an email last week giving him 7 days to vacate his dorm since his financial limitations prevented him from being fully registered for classes. For the past year, Matthew has been living in limbo, technically unable to register as a full-time student, Dong wrote. This has barred him from officially registering in classes, from receiving his grades, and even from filling out timesheets to be paid for the hours that he worked at MIT jobs. Further, this spring, Matthew's health insurance was canceled by MIT without any notice. He only found out when he went to the pharmacy to pick up medication. But Dong noted that Matthew has continued to attend classes, conduct research, and do all of his assignments, maintaining a 4.7 GPA in the process. What? I didn't even know you could go that high above a 4.0. His professors work with him to progress him forward, in the hope that his registration status can be resolved. Dong said that Matthew can back register for classes if he can pay off his balance, which would allow him to graduate on time in the spring. Dong set a goal of $81,075 based on a cost breakdown of Matthew's needs. In only a few days, the fundraiser has exceeded that. I have known Matthew for 3 years, and I can personally say that he is one of the kindest, most generous, and most amazing people I've ever met in my entire life, Dong wrote. I have watched him struggle for years against his family and with MIT Student Financial Services, towering forces that do not care for his health or his future, but nonetheless wield an immense degree of control over his life. He balances this struggle while doing his classes, research, and jobs, Dong continued. Through all this, Matthew still manages to find time for all the people in his life. He bakes us cakes on our birthdays. He listens to us vent about our troubles. He is always there to give advice to anyone who asks, even through the enormous challenges he himself faces. Even one of the parents who visited our dorm remembered Matthew as the only student who sweetly thanked her for cooking a meal for them. He has always been a bright spot of humor and hope, and now we wish to return the favor, Dong added. Matthew commented on the fundraiser, thanking everyone for donating. I'm amazed at how many people have come together to support me, he said. I am in awe of the immense kindness and generosity of everyone who donated, reached out, and helped to spread my story. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I am incredibly excited to graduate. He lamented that he did not have to move out of his dorm on Monday morning, but that he is safe and has a temporary place to stay. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Dang it. He lamented that he did have to move out of his dorm on Monday morning of that week, but that he is safe and has a temporary place to stay. I'm in the process of late registering from the fall and in the spring, and I am still keeping up with my classes. It looks like I am on track to graduate this May, he said. He added that now that he has met his fundraising goal, additional donations will go to paying down his existing loans. Hey, Sean, thank you very much for sticking with us, and have a great night. I appreciate you. Matthew's experience is far from unique. A recent study found that only 31% of trans adults can say that their parents accept them. According to the Rainbow College Fund, transgender students receive familial financial support for school at a rate 17% lower than cis/hetero students. Gay, lesbian, and bisexual students receive this support at 12% lower rates than their cis-hetero counterparts. But as the National College Attainment Network explained, the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA system, assumes every student has a financially supportive cooperative family, reinforcing a narrow ideal of the nuclear household. For students navigating rejection, estrangement, or emotional harm, this assumption can lead to added stress, uncertainty, and isolation. It is also very difficult to meet the threshold for what is called a dependency override, as evidenced by Matthew's experience. LGBTQ+ people in the United States also tend to face greater overall economic and financial disparities compared to their straight peers, often driven or exacerbated by experiences of discrimination. In this instance, though, when everything was looking down for this young man and his trials and tribulations through MIT, and still going to class, keeping up with his research, and maintaining a 4.7 GPA, he never backed down, and thanks to his friends, he's set to graduate. Or not just his friends, but to everybody. Everybody involved, he's set to graduate in May from MIT. To everybody involved in seeing Matthew N. to the finish line and being part of the village that stood up to help get him there. Cheers. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube channel. We're live every Sunday, and our next episode will be on April 12th of 2026. We encourage participation, so by all means, if you feel inclined, you can post suggestions or message us regarding news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you send us a bunch of articles, try to spread them out across our 4 major categories, which again are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice ones we like to end on, like generosity, and people rising up and rising to the occasion to help people across the finish line. So feel free to you can message us on, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description of the video. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on our content on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and get good news and joy out into the algorithms. That's right, we're on all of them. You can find us, Nick's News SBS, Nick's News, on all the major platforms. So please no SEO improvement advertisements. If you send me if you email us an SEO improvement advertisement or you message us with one, I'm just going to block you. We're not interested, because everybody out there who's watching Nick's News has continued to help grow Nick's News. It's because of all of you that we continue to expand, and our numbers continue to go up. Like, we were astounded at our engagements this last week. It was fantastic. It is amazing, and it is all thanks to all of you. So thank you all again. I really do appreciate you all. We do. Producer Donna and I really love everything y'all do to expand Nick's News and get this joy and good news out there, because we're bombarded with bad news, and we know there's a lot of good news to be found. So, as always, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.